Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're mapping out what is essentially a hero's journey in the world of cybersecurity. If you've been looking at the vast and, let's be honest, sometimes overwhelming landscape of cyber defense and wondering exactly how to progress from an absolute beginner to an elite defender, you are in the exact right place. Let's dive into some fascinating source material that maps out a step-by-step roadmap to mastering the Security Operations Center, or SOC. We're going to uncover exactly how this progression works, together. Here's our roadmap for today. We're going to kick things off by defining the SOC, and then we'll literally level up step by step, from level 1 first responder up to the level 2 investigator, and finally, that elite level 3 threat hunter role. We'll wrap it all up with a quick look at the future of these roles. Okay, let's jump right into section 1. Welcome to the SOC. So, what actually is a SOC? The source material gives us this absolutely brilliant analogy. Imagine a residential society or a gated neighborhood. To keep it safe, you'd hire security guards, right? Maybe even some dedicated police officers. Their whole job is to watch the perimeter, spot anyone trying to sneak in without authorization, and react immediately if there's a break-in. Well, a security operations center does exactly that, but for a company's digital infrastructure. It's literally the ultimate command center where a centralized team of pros monitors systems and networks to catch and neutralize threats as early as possible. Now, there's a really interesting foundational difference between two terms we hear thrown around all the time: cybersecurity and information security. Think of it like this. If you take your smartphone and slap a PIN code on it so nobody can read your messages, that's cybersecurity. You're protecting digital data. But if you take that exact same phone, lock it inside a physical metal locker, and post a guard outside, that's information security. It covers everything: physical, verbal, and digital. As a SOC analyst, your boots are firmly on the ground in the cyber realm, but you're operating under that massive information security umbrella. To actually protect those digital assets, the SOC runs on a pretty strict 4-step workflow: monitor, triage, investigate, and respond. Think of it kind of like a doctor in a crazy busy hospital ER. A surgeon can't treat 50 people at the exact same second, right? They have to triage, figuring out who needs life-saving care right now and who can wait. In the SOC, you're constantly monitoring and then triaging alerts by classifying their severity. After that, you investigate the root cause and finally respond to shut the threat down. Keep this loop in your head because your career level basically dictates which of these 4 steps you'll be spending most of your time on. Which brings us to section 2, the entry point for almost everyone jumping into their cybersecurity journey. Level 1, the first responder. Check out this number, 90%. When you're trying to break into the SOC and land that very first gig, 90% of entry-level opportunities are right here in the level 1 vertical. And it makes total sense, really, because L1 analysts are the essential frontline infantry. They're the initial filter for the absolute avalanche of data hitting the organization every single day. So, what does an L1's day actually look like? Well, the SOC never sleeps, it's 24/7, so you're going to start by reviewing handover notes from the previous shift. Your main gig is real-time monitoring using a SIEM, something like Splunk or Elastic, which is basically sucking in logs from all over the network. When an alert pops up, you put on that triage doctor hat. You classify it: is this low, medium, or high severity? You do some basic log digging to validate the alert, and if it looks like a genuine nasty threat, you pass it right up the chain to the heavy hitters at level 2. But hey, it's definitely not a walk in the park. The biggest hurdle for a level 1 analyst is, without a doubt, alert fatigue. You're staring at a massive volume of digital alarms all day long. Your main battle is figuring out what's a false positive, just a harmless glitch triggering an alarm, versus a true positive, an actual confirmed attack. Honestly, mastering that specific skill, that is exactly how you prove you're ready to level up. And that takes us right into section 3, level 2, the investigator. If level 1 is the security guard reporting a broken window, level 2 is the police detective rolling up to dust for prints and figure out exactly how the burglar pulled it off. Let's compare them side by side. While L1 is busy monitoring alerts and weeding out false positives, L2 takes those escalated, confirmed tickets and just dives incredibly deep. They move way past basic logs and start analyzing raw network traffic and actual malware samples. And crucially, while L1 just classifies the severity, L2 is taking real action. They are out there isolating compromised systems to stop the bleeding. As an investigator, you're seriously upgrading your tool belt. You're diving into packet capture tools like Wireshark and TCP dump to see the actual data moving across the wire. When you confirm a breach, it's go time. You isolate that compromised machine from the rest of the network and figure out the who and the how.
Plus, you've got to provide actionable insights so the IT team knows exactly what vulnerability needs patching, making sure the bad guys can't use the same trick twice. Now, I just mentioned executing playbooks. If you're new to that term, the source material breaks it down perfectly. It says, a playbook is just like a diary of step-by-step processes for common incidents. It's awesome because you don't have to just guess what to do during a massive phishing attack. Level 2 analysts follow these pre-written diaries to make sure every single step of containing and wiping out the threat is handled systematically. All right, time for Section 4, Level 3, the Threat Hunter. This is where we hit the elite mastery of the SOC. At Level 3, the whole game changes. You're no longer sitting around waiting for alerts to come to you. You're going out on the offensive, hunting for the attackers. This is proactive threat hunting, and it's a huge mindset shift. You're wielding highly complex tools like Ghidro or IDA Pro to actually reverse engineer malware and see how it ticks. You're doing memory forensics with tools like volatility, since memory is basically a goldmine for catching attackers in the act. Then you take all those advanced discoveries and feed them back into the SIM, literally for. The ultimate challenge here, the real boss battle for an L3, is going toe-to-toe with the most sophisticated attacks on the planet. We're talking zero-day exploits. These are massive vulnerabilities that the software vendors literally don't even know exist yet. As an L3, you are living on the bleeding edge, finding the unknown before it can cause absolute chaos. Let's take a step back and look at how your tool belt evolves over this timeline. The sources map out a really clear skill tree for us. Year 1, as an L1, your total focus is mastering the SIEM platforms and learning to read those basic logs. Jumping into years 2 and 3 as an L2, you've got to master network packet analysis, hello Wireshark, and endpoint detection. And by year 4 and beyond, welcome to L3 territory, where you're ripping apart code with reverse engineering and deep forensics tools. It's a pretty epic progression. Finally, let's look ahead with Section 5, the future of SOC roles. It is super fascinating to see where this industry is heading right now. Beyond that traditional L1 to L3 track, we're seeing some incredibly specialized emerging roles popping up. We've got AI and machine learning specialists using raw data science to write totally new threat detection roles. There are IoT security analysts whose whole job is monitoring operational tech and smart devices. And we're seeing dedicated cyber threat researchers, which is kind of an evolution of the L3 role, entirely focused on studying attacker behavior. These researchers spend a ton of time on TTPs, that's techniques, tactics, and procedures. Our source material frames this so well. Imagine a thief keeps breaking into houses on your street. You don't just fix one broken window and call it a day. You study the thief. What time are they showing up? What kind of tool are they using on the lock? What's their getaway route? By understanding their exact playbook, you can build a defense specifically engineered to stop them cold. That is the absolute pinnacle of cyber defense. So there you have it. We've walked through this entire hero's journey together, and you now have the exact roadmap to level up your career. The only question left is for you. Are you going to focus on mastering that CM as an L1, or are you aiming for the big leagues to hunt 0 days as an elite L3? Which step on this path are you going to conquer next? Thanks so much for hanging out with me for this explainer, and hey, happy hunting!